On the tiny volcanic island of Manam Motu, off the coast of Papua New Guinea, nobody speaks of north, south, east, or west. Why? So once more, on the tiny volcanic island of Manam Motu, off the coast of Papua New Guinea, nobody speaks of north, south, east, or west. Why?
I'm going to do the backing out of this question thing because I think I know this one. I think I've done a video on it.
Not this again.
Ooh.
I'm sorry.
You could help me deliver cryptic clues.
Yep, this is something I've mentioned in a video. Sorry, folks, that's the trouble with having nearly 9 years of stuff about weird trivia.
That's the trouble with being really smart. I
just know too many things.
These aren't useful facts. This isn't smart. This is just a brain that's clogged by, like, mental cholesterol.
That's the dream. Can
I remember the name of someone I've just met? Absolutely not. Can I remember, like, basic civil ways of greeting people? No. Can I remember an obscure fact about Papua New Guinea? Absolutely. That is.
I would buy that shirt. It's a picture of like a big brain. It just says mental cholesterol.
I mean, you're the one with the merch store here.
Mental cholesterol is a good subsidiary YouTube brand.
I really actually do like mental cholesterol.
Mental floss? No.
Do like compasses not work on the island? There's some weird volcano magnet thing going on. I don't actually know how magnets work.
No, you could use a compass if you so desired.
So it's just they've got some other navigation system. Is there a road that goes all the way around? Is it? You said it was an island, right?
Yes, it is a tiny volcanic island.
Is there a road that goes all the way around?
There might be. There might not be. I don't have it pulled up on Google Maps.
My first guess was going to be something along the lines of, I don't know, they're built entirely vertically. They're a vertical city, so there's no use for those other directions. Everything is just up, down. But circles is another way that could potentially be a thing. If everything is just built in circles, then going in straight compass points, not particularly helpful.
Not useful, yeah. Is there sort of city located on like one part and they don't really go around the island? I guess I'm trying to think like what their alternative navigation would be if they're not using.
Wait, hold on. I might be. Bill, can you repeat the question?
I shall. On the tiny volcanic island of Manam Motu, off the coast of Papua New Guinea, nobody speaks of north, south, east, or west. Why?
Oh, pride comes before a fall here. I've got that completely the wrong way round.
Back in the game.
I'm back in the game because I've got it confused. Because there's a language out there where they don't use forwards, backwards, left, right. And I heard your question and I misunderstood it. There's a language where they refer to absolute direction. So in any context, you would just use the words for north, south. Well, it's not that, but like for the directions.
Right.
But that's the exact opposite of what you asked.
Yes, they don't say north, south, east. They're like the anti-Churchill, and they never talk about facing east.
Oh, that's me looking all smug and then being completely wrong. That's arguably worse.
Welcome to the lateral.
And we went through all that brain cholesterol.
Yeah, there was a whole tangent on brain cholesterol there.
It's just melted away. Your brain is healthy again.
So is it the existence? There's no existence of north, east, southwest, or they just don't like the word? I mean, this is like stupid, but they don't have a word for north, or they don't use north.
Yeah,
or they
we are talking, look, if they were speaking English, I'm sure they would be able to, and they can, compasses work. If they're speaking English, they could say north, south, east, and west, right? But we're talking about like linguistically and traditionally, there are no words for north, south, east, or west. They don't use that system.
Does it have anything to do with circling the island or like rotation around the island?
I mean, yeah,
so they use polar coordinates.
I think William has cracked it.
They speak of like clockwise and anti-clockwise instead of...
Oh.
Yes, they are on a small circular island with a big volcano in the middle. Do you want to describe what polar coordinates means as a phrase?
Yeah, it's going in circles instead of like... The Cartesian would be like a graph you see in school that you're used to, and then polar is the version of that starts at the center and it kind of wraps around the center. So instead of going here, you go center, out, and around.
So you have an angle and you
And a
have
radius.
a distance from the center.
So if you never go to the center, you're kind of always skirting around the edge. And so it would make sense to kind of talk about where you are on the circle.
Particularly if you're on a volcanic island, which is going to be a cone.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's specifically they have 4 words. Their versions of north, south, east, or west. Their use for coordinate wording is inland, towards the sea, clockwise, counterclockwise. Those are the 4 directions in their native language. Specifically, and forgive my pronunciation if you're from Mana Motu, Auta, Ilau, Ata, and Awa. Inland, towards the sea, clockwise, and counterclockwise.
So they do great until they leave the island. And then
They leave the island. You got to build a whole new system.
But anyone who's visiting has to switch to theirs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? When you travel into space, north-south doesn't make sense anymore. You know? Don't you get on your high horse, Mr.
It's true.
So yes, on the tiny volcanic island of Manamotu, the inhabitants use the volcano as a center point, and they use their words for inward, outward, clockwise, and anti-clockwise